that.
No, don't worry.
So the question is, what does a typical day look like for you as a nurse practitioner?
Well, hello everyone. Again, thank you for having me. When I got the text, I was like, I'm excited. Why not? By the way, you look very beautiful, Taylor, and everybody else that I'm looking at. You guys look absolute. Kathleen, thank you for this good introduction, Kathleen. I just want to make it clear for the audience, especially the students that are watching us, because you call me doctor. I don't want this. I have my doctorate in nursing practice. So, meaning that I have gone and received the terminal degree in regards to nursing, regards to the different part of nursing that that you guys may choose to go to. As a nurse practitioner, my typical day will be, especially for where I am working right now, I do work in urology care. Urology, anything that deals with the bladder, the kidneys, etc. I'll start I do have a schedule. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm in the clinic in the morning. I see patients in the clinic, and the other half of the day, the urologist that I work with has privileges in different hospitals. So our schedule is when he is in the office, I'm doing a visit in a hospital, and when he is in the hospital, I'm in the clinic seeing different type of patients. So I do have a schedule that I follow.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, great. I do want to mention, does your job require a high school, community college, a technical college, or 4-year college education?
Actually, my job requires a four-year college education. And right now, in some institution, it is a terminal degree. You do have to have your doctorate in nursing practice to be a nurse practitioner. In some schools, but for the majority part, definitely a 4-year college, which is you do need a Master of Science in Nursing to be a nurse practitioner.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I think in the beginning you mentioned that there's a difference between you as a nurse practitioner and a doctor. Do you mind speaking on that a little bit more?
Okay, so we have different type of nursing. If you don't mind me elaborate, we have so we have LPN. LPN is a licensed practical nurse. It's usually done in a technical school. It's about a year or so. You go to school, you do different type of, you do clinicals as well. You know, you get to practice either in a hospital or a nursing home, and you at the end you do have to take the board of nursing exam as well. Whichever school that whichever state that you are in, you're still required to to have a license. We have regular registered nurse. Now, in regards to registered nurse, which is what we call RN, it's either associate degree, or sometimes they call it an ADN, which is an associate degree in nursing, or it could be a registered nurse with a BSN, which is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. You have different type of entry. Some students, they go straight for the BSN instead of just to do the regular associate, which is the regular RN. And both as well, when you are done, you must pass the Board of Nursing license in order for you to practice as well. Now, sometimes you have students that does RN, they are already RN, so they do RN to the BSN track, because most of the hospitals right now, they are becoming magnet. Magnet is when they receive a certain type of, is when they receive a certification that the majority of their nurses must have a bachelor degree, and as regard to an associate degree. And then you have your master, your MSN, your Master of Science Nurse Prepared. You have, the person may have a master in nursing education, They may have a master in nursing informatics. They can have a master. They could have. They have different track, or they could have a master with a track of family nurse practitioner, acute care nurse practitioner, pediatric nurse practitioner, women's health, etc. It depends on the avenue where you want to go. Sometimes the person may already have a master and they want to continue being a nurse practitioner. In that case, they would have to have a postmaster in family nurse practitioner. This one is a certificate. However, you still need to pass your a certification. You still need to be board certified in order for you to see patients. And then the terminal degree is the doctorate in nursing practice. Like I was saying before, some institution now, in order for you to get into the nurse practitioner program, it's a straight program. When you're done, you get your doctorate in nursing program. And others, you can also have the nurse practitioner certification with a MSN prepare, which is the Master of Science in Nursing prepare as well.
Wow, thank you so much for clarifying all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Kathleen.
Okay, that was great. Well, coming from a medical student myself, interested in this profession, I would like to ask, what are the best and most challenging parts of your profession?
Wow. The best is absolutely when I see that I make a difference in the patient recovery. And, you know, it's a joy when you see your patient getting better. It's a joy when you see that you have tried one or two different type of avenue and the third one actually worked for the patient. You know, having the patient satisfaction is important. One of the challenges, I should say, the main challenges, is when the patient is not really part of their care. Meaning that no matter the amount of education that you try to teach the patient, not anything complex, but of course simple in the term where the patient can understand. For example, if I have a patient that has high blood pressure, in medical term we say hypertension, and you give the patient medication and the patient chooses not to take it because of it gives them secondary side effects, which is a whole to the other different things. By them not taking the medication, I'm sorry, my mom keep on texting me. I'm a mom's girl. By them not taking the medication, their condition is going to get worse. So basically, it's really non-compliant, and as a nurse or as a healthcare providers that you guys will become later on in life, you will see that you have patients that are non-compliant.
Wow. So what type of skill sets do you use the most in your profession?
Oh my goodness, my assessment. What is assessment? Assessment is when you go see the patient, you definitely have to when you go see the patient, you definitely have to look the patient. You have to touch the patient. You have to talk to the patient. For example, you have to look at the patient's face. You have to listen to the patient's heart. You have to listen to the patient's lungs. Assessment is what you use the most, because what happens is sometimes the patient may not complain of something, but while you're doing the assessment, you discover something else. So it's not just for me, but in general, the assessment skills, it's definitely what is used the most.
Okay, great. Well, at what moment in your life did you realize you wanted to be a nurse practitioner?
All right. I never wanted to be a nurse in general. I'd like to think that nursing chose me. And to me, it's a blessing. Uh, I've always wanted to be a neurosurgeon. So by me going to the different route of becoming a nurse and eventually a nurse practitioner and later on having my terminal degree, it's really simple. It's just giving back. I love giving back. And when you have a different knowledge, it could be nursing, it can be accountant, or anything that you choose to do, you have to give back because you have a certain skills that the average people do not have. I'm not an accountant. I have no clue, how it's like to do any accounting work. So I'm sure if I was an accountant, I would give my services for free as well. It's definitely the idea to care for others and the idea that I get to share my knowledge with students because I do teach as well. So I definitely nursing chose me, and it was a blessing that nursing chose me because I sure didn't choose nursing. I am being real.
Wow. I don't know if you can go a little bit further on that. So how did you know exactly? Like, what is there kind of like a sign for young people like myself to just know, okay, this is what I meant to do?
Well, okay. When you are born, okay, I'm not being biblical, but when you are born with a set of skills that God has already given to you. That's just the way it is. Whether you believe or you don't believe, there is something in your life that you do effortless. To me, it was caring. To me, it was educating. So being a nurse only added, how is that, and the ice to the cake, make it easier for me to care for patients, to educate my students. So it's just that putting my caring aspect into work really. But of course, I needed the skills because I couldn't just go work in a hospital or just in patients without having the skills. But I really think that it like I said, that nursing chose me, and I really think that it has given me the ability to use my skills that I was born to serve, and I love helping my patients.
I absolutely agree with you. I actually, and I've said this multiple times, I believe that there is kind of like this there's like already a story already written for each of our lives. So and I guess along the way we start to figure it out, such as you did, and such as I'm starting to do. But that's just something that like it's like already a story, and we're kind of like figuring it out as we go. So thank you for that. Now, I would be very remiss if I did not ask you the next question.
Okay.
So I myself, I'm Haitian American, and are born and raised from Haiti. So, how do you feel your background, your culture? How did that shape you into the person you are today?
Well, one thing that mom and dad have taught me as a little girl is to be a go-getter. As women, as young girls, we should be resilient. Of course, in the Haitian culture, we are known to be resilient. But I think as women in general, as young girls, you guys should be resilient. I have two daughters, by the way, and they are both in college. Um, that is part of the culture. Being a go-getter is part of the culture. Um, and mom and dad, whatever that I wanted to do, they always said yes. So as a young girl, I knew that the sky was not even the limit, to be honest with you. And I always said, if I was mopping the floor, I think I would be the best person mopping and the best person mopping the floor. If there was a doctorate in mopping the floor, I'm sure I would have been in that class as well. So being a go-getter, being having a good support system was also one of the attributes of pursuing school and then staying school.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. So we're kind of getting close on time, and I do want to give our viewers the opportunity to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
I don't.
So we do have a question I see from Kayla. And again, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat. So from Kayla, she says, what keeps you going when outcomes may not be what you want?
Oh my God. That is such a great question. Thank you, Kayla. Definitely, it's thinking about the future is brighter. And also, you may feel down. However, you have people that are watching you. You have to be strong for those. For example, I have my daughters. Anything that I do, anything that keeps me going is for them. And of course, God is the center of everything that I do. When I wake up in the morning, I already know that I'm going to have a great day. So even if something bad happened, I'm like, oh, okay. So I really try to have a positive aspect in anything that I do. Even if it's negative, I try to see, maybe it happened because something better is coming.
Wow, thank you. Do we have any more questions in the chat? I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Who is your biggest role model?
Oh my goodness, my mommy, my mother. My mommy, she's my biggest role model. Oh my God, she is so strong. I learned so many things from her. I learned to be humble. Uh, um, I learned to be a prayer woman from her. I learned to just be grounded in general. Be grateful for life. Be grateful that certain opportunities are given, and not everybody is given certain opportunities. Definitely my mommy, my mom. You're turning me into a little girl. My mom.
I do see we have another question from Kayla, who seems to be on a roll. How has your life changed since COVID-19, and how have you adapted?
Well, okay, so COVID-19 has actually taught me to be a little selfish. What do I mean by that? Before COVID, I used to be involved in so many things here and there. And when COVID hit, and of course, we couldn't go places. We had to make sure that, by the way, I was still going to work, and I'm still going to work because as a healthcare providers, that's what we do. We cannot go, the hospital doesn't close, the clinic doesn't close. So I still have to go to work. However, I learned to be a little bit selfish. What do I mean by that? I had so many projects that I've always wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, you're going to be selfish and focus on you now since you cannot go anywhere. So I had my first issue of my magazine. I started to write a book so long ago. I finished it. And of course, COVID has taught me to be more humble and really be more appreciative of life because I have friends who died. I have friends who have family who died. So it's just, to be more gratitude and grateful for life as well.
Wow. As we look at it like, okay, we have to be one thing for the rest of our lives. And you've just kind of shown that you can be so much more. You can be an educator, and do kind of an author, do all the things that you're really passionate about. So thank you for sharing all that.
Especially as young ladies, especially as young girls, the sky is not even the limit. Like I was saying, is that when you were born, you were born with certain skills, with certain talent. You just have to capitalize on them.
Absolutely. I think I have for one more question. Let's see. I see a question from Maya. How did you manage to not feel overwhelmed by the endless options for job opportunities here? I think she's referring to the medical field.
Okay, so this is a thing. In regards to nursing, you have different areas that you go to. You have emergency care, you have med surg, you have different type of specialty that you go to. However, for example, for me, I know that mental health in nursing, this is not something that I think I was born to do. I don't think I will do well at it. Um, I think that I'm better as family. I think that I'm better as acute care. I think that I am better in education. So sometimes you have to um, understand the skills that you are better at and use them. I don't know if I'm making sense. You know, if you know that when you, as a student, when you go to the emergency room, you light up. You know, when you're doing your clinical, you light up. When you go to another floor, it's like, oh, okay. You already know that emergencies for you, that's your specialty. So when you finish, make sure you get a job in the emergency department. You just have to capitalize on, on the skills and the sense that you got, for that particular specialty. So I've always wanted to be in emergency. As soon as I graduated from school, I went straight to the emergency department. I have to be honest, one hospital says no, another hospital says no. Even though they said no, they did offer me a different floor. But your girl here can be a little bit, I don't know what to say. Can be a little bit, what she wants to go get it. And I was lucky, or should I say, I was blessed enough that the third hospital gave me the job in the emergency room. And I actually stayed there full time until I transitioned into academia to teach full time academia. And then since I returned back to practice now, so that's different. But you're gonna know which specialty or which career that you really want to do. Don't let your parents say, go do this, go do that. You know what you want to do. You know your calling.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kathleen to close it out for us. Thank you again.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for tuning in for this evening session. I hope you all enjoyed yourself and learned something new. A big thank you to our guest, Dr. Mirville. It was a pleasure having you with us tonight, and you're a big motivation to me as well because I want to be a nurse. But please stay tuned for future LRL career series events in the near future. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Good night. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Good night. Thank you so much, Dr. Mirville. We appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for all that you guys do in the community.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys actually stuck with me for 5-1.